Alrighty, let's move on to our NBA Power Rankings. Yes, sir, our final Power Rankings of the first half of the season. Alright, so yeah, let's just jump right into it. Here we go. Power rankings. Going into this week, we had the Bulls at 10, the Wizards at 9, the Heat at 8, the Knicks at 7, the Nuggets at 6, the Bucks at 5, the 76ers at 4, the Suns at 3, the Jazz at 2, and the Nets the number 1 team. Will all those teams stay where they are? Anybody moving up? Anybody moving out? We're moving the Bulls out of the top 10. Just not a great week by them. Their one win was against the Pelicans, but then they lost against the Suns and the Nuggets. And, the Suns and the Nuggets are clearly better teams than this Bulls team, but we do want to see the Bulls start to win these games. We put the Bulls in the top 10 because they were starting to make strides. They were at least being competitive against the better teams, but now we need to see them start to take the next step, and we have some other teams on here that are kind of slowly taking that next step of now beating the better teams, not consistently, but here and there making that small step that we want to see. So we are officially taking the Bulls out of the top 10, and we are also taking possibly the Knicks or the Wizards out of the top 10. We got to check our live vote to see where that is at, and then is that it? That is it. So the Bulls are definitely out, and the Knicks or the Wizards, one of those teams will be out of the top 10. So here we go. We got a new number 10 team in the league, and this is what we got to go to the vote for, folks. We put this on our Twitter page earlier today. We'll see where the voting is. Wherever the voting lies, we will stick to it. If there's a tiebreaker, we will break the tie. But the 3 teams that we had battling for that last seed open, that 10th seed, were the Knicks, the Wizards, and the Mavericks. The Knicks in the last week have went 3-1. They beat the Pacers and the Pistons twice. Decent wins there against the Pacers. Pistons, good, easy wins, but still, we're not going to knock you for doing what you're supposed to do. And then they did lose to the Spurs, who are clearly a better team than them. So we definitely want to see the Knicks start to win those games. That was our one knock on the Bulls. So that's why, Knicks are potentially in that 10th seed. Wizards, what they've done in the last week, they beat the Timberwolves and the Clippers, but then also lost to the Celtics and the Grizzlies. So the Clippers, great win just from last night. T-Wolves, not that great of a win, but that Celtics and Grizzlies loss, once again, another reason why we might be taking them out of the top 10 right there. Got to see you starting to beat the better teams a little bit more consistently. And the Celtics and Grizzlies are kind of, right under, what separates, the good and the bad teams are right on that line. So definitely wanted to see them at least beat one of those two teams. Unfortunately, they lost against both. And then the Mavericks, they've been really getting it back on track here this last kind of 2 weeks. They're like 8-2 in their last 10, and this week they went and beat the Nets, the Magic, and the Thunder. So really great wins for this Mavs team, but are we buying it? Let's see what the fans say. So the number 10 team is going to be, oh, look at this, 3 votes. 2 votes for the Mavericks, 1 vote for the Knicks. So we got to give it to the Mavericks. And honestly, that's probably who I would have put if I just had to be the lone person to make this decision. I honestly had the Mavs at number 10, but I wanted to give the fans a voice here. I wanted to give the Knicks and the Wizards the Knicks and the Wizards to give them that last chance at that number 10 seed. But the Mavs, I think, have definitely earned it here. Truly great this last week. Let's see if they can keep it up. 8-10 in their last 10, 3-0 this week alone up into the All-Star break, not taking any games off, not getting, looking forward to the break, looking forward to the rest. So very well done for the Mavs, getting it all together. We'll see if they can keep it up in the back half of the season, but the Mavs are the new number 10 seed in our NBA Power Rankings. Very well done. Alrighty, so that means the Wizards are out, and the new number 9 team is going to be the Boston Celtics. Like the Mavericks, they have kind of cleaned it up here this last kind of 2 week stretch. What are they in their last 10? I want to say they're kind of up there, close to 8-2. Are they only 6-4? Oh, they are only 6-4. All right, but they've had a great week here. 4-0 this last week, beating the Pacers, the Wizards, the Clippers, the Raptors. Clippers, great win there. Raptors, still a solid win. So these are solid wins, beating the Wizards, beating the Pacers, all kind of solid wins here. So Celtics are getting a little bit back on track here. Jason Tatum getting it done, Jaylen Brown getting it done, Kemba Walker, we just saw him stopping all those big threes, stopping the 12-plus threes, the 15-plus threes, stop that. So he brought it down to 6 last night. Hopefully that keeps it up. Hopefully Marcus Smart can get a little bit healthy after the All-Star break to get him back into the lineup. And they got to do something else with those bigs because Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson are not getting it done greatly. But when you got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you got a chance every single night because that's a fantastic duo. So Celtics, 4 straight wins here, 4-0 in the last week, leading up into the All-Star break. And once again, I love seeing that, folks. Not looking forward to that break. Keeping it up, keeping the foot on the gas. So we put the Celtics at number 9 for all those reasons. Alrighty, new number 8 team, no longer the Heat. They're moving up a little bit. The new number 8 team is going to be the Blazers. Yes, sir. Absolutely fantastic. Dame Dollar Bill is back, y'all. Did he ever leave? Not really. And, they're 3-1 in the last week, beating the Hornets, the Warriors, and the Kings, and then losing to the Lakers. So decent wins there against Hornets, Wizards, and the Kings. Nothing great. Hornets are still kind of trending up a little bit. Wizards are still trending up a little bit. Kings are still kind of not moving. They're still, after that big decline, they haven't really shot back up. And that close loss against the Lakers, not great, but, Damian Lillard still being clutch, and like what we've been saying, no Nurkic, no McCollum, and he's still able to put up 44 and be the guy consistently, offensively, defensively. It's really just Damian Lillard being absolutely fantastic and everybody else just being a little meh. I mean, Gary Trent Jr. is not really consistent. Carmelo off the bench is decently consistent, and, he's just making it work. He's got them the 5th seed in the West, folks. That's absolutely crazy. They're better than the Nuggets, who have Murray and Jokic. Great duo there that really haven't been injured except for this kind of past 2 weeks here, where CJ McCollum and Nurkic have been out for basically the start of the season. Spurs, I mean, they're better than the Spurs, the Mavericks, who have really all their guys in the Blazers with just little old Damian Lillard all by himself out there, still getting it done. So we are going to respect the Blazers here. Absolutely. Dame Dollar. I can talk about Damian Lillard for probably an hour and a half straight. I can do just a show on Damian Lillard. He's so freaking impressive. One of the most consistently clutch players I think I've ever seen in a stretch of period. This not just this season alone, just going back to last year in the bubble as well. I mean, I don't know if there was. I can't recall the last time he wasn't clutch, honestly. So Blazers at number 8, mainly because of Damian Lillard, but the supporting cast so far is still getting it done too. All right, number 7 is no longer the Knicks, unfortunately. We'll see them kind of in the second half of the season and want to see them continue their great play. So let's see what they can do after the All-Star break. But we got to give it the new number 7 team to the Miami Heat. In the last week, they've been very, very good. Where are they at? They beat the Jazz and the Hawks and the Pelicans and then lost to the Hawks. They had, back-to-back meetings. So, that second in a back-to-back meeting against the same team, we don't kind of judge that too much because, a lot of people, they're making adjustments. We just saw you beat us. Now we got more momentum to go out and beat you. So we're not going to count that loss too heavy, but we will still count it. We are still taking that into consideration. But beating the Jazz, absolutely great win. Now that Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic are finally playing together, that's all that matters. It doesn't really matter who else is in, who else is out, because we know Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic will both get it done. They'll both step up their play a lot, making up for whoever they're missing, whoever's not doing good. Is it Tyler Hero that's still floundering? Is it somebody else that's out? They just had no Bam Adebayo last night and still won the game. So absolutely great job here by the Heat. We knew not to take, that whole thing seriously with no Jimmy Butler when he was out. That wasn't the real Heat team. So them losing game after game after game after game without Jimmy Butler, that wasn't affecting us. I mean, everybody in the media was going crazy about it, saying that the Heat were trash and weren't going to make the playoffs. But we were like, y'all, just hold on. Wait till they get their mans back. Because, same thing with the Lakers, we can't take their losses right now at kind of, the gospel because they got no Anthony Davis. Take a breath, folks. You really can't single-handedly carry a team by yourself besides Damian Lillard. He's the only person ever in NBA history that could do that. But you're not going to win a ring. You're not going to win games consistently if you only have one superstar. So the Heat, they needed Jimmy Butler back. They needed Goran Dragic back. They have them back. They're winning games consistently. They just beat the Jazz, best team in the league. There it is. Well, not to us. We got them at number 2, but y'all know what I mean. So Heat at number 7. Love it. Alrighty, number 6 is going to be the Bucks. The Bucks. A little bit of a lucky win last night, but we'll still give it to them. Hey, Drew Holiday's back and he's clutch, so maybe the Bucks can be a little bit better here in the back half of the season because they got that clutch gene back because nobody else is clutch on that team. Jeez. So in the last week, the Bucks have beaten the Grizzlies and the Clippers and lost against the Nuggets. So once again, losing against the Nuggets, not great. The three-point shooting, the great big shooters really beat this Bucks team. Nothing consistent. Now they did just get consistent with Drew Holiday. Now that he's back, that's kind of their best piece. They need him back. So we'll see what they can do at the back half of the season. But want to see this Bucks team be better, man. I want to see Giannis be better and more consistent and better defense and better help from their other Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez and Dante DiVincenzo. It's just so annoying not seeing all those players be consistent. Buzzer beater win over the Grizzlies last night, but they got beat against the Nuggets, so the Nuggets were the 6th seed, so we just kind of flopped them here. That brings us to our number 5 team, the Nuggets. Yes, sir, they've kind of gotten back on track here. They did kind of decently flounder for about a couple game stretch there, but they have kind of gotten it back. They've reeled it back in, and they're kind of back on track here. So in the last week, they went 4-0, absolutely fantastic, beating the Thunder, the Bulls, the Bucks, and the Pacers. So decent wins there. Thunder kind of, hit and miss. They're kind of 50-50 on a given night. Bulls still kind of slowly trending up. Bucks, still kind of high, maybe trending down a little bit. And the Pacers kind of just flatlining at mediocrity. So some decent wins there, but the Nuggets did beat the Bucks straight up this week, so I got to put them higher. It's just, we know this Bucks team doesn't really beat the elite teams very well. Yes, they beat the Clippers this week, but they got no great big, and they don't have a great big and consistent great 3-point shooters, and that's what beats the Bucks, and that's why the Bucks lose against the Nuggets. So Nuggets at 5, Jokic is great, Jamal Murray's great, Michael Porter Jr. at the 4 is flourishing here. So Nuggets at 5. Alrighty, new number 4 team is going to be the Jazz, falling down a little bit here. They were the number 1 seed going into last week. Then we dropped them down to number 2. They were number 2 going into this week. Now we're dropping them down to number 4 because they are skidding a little bit here. They're 6-4 in their last 10. They went 1-3 this week, folks. They beat the Magic. That's it. All right. Then they lose against the Heat, the Pelicans, and the 76ers. Once again, you cannot be losing against all these teams consistently. If you lose against one here and there, that's fine. We got no problem with that. But to lose straight games against Heat, Pelicans, and the 76ers, not great looks there. So not closing out games. Just got to be a little bit better. They're deep. There's no reason for them to be losing against these teams. They're deeper than all these rosters. They're star players. Rudy Gobert, Donovan Mitchell. I would say that's better than Jimmy Butler and Goran Dragic a little bit. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. For the Pelicans, Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram. I think I take Jamal Murray and Jokic over that. And then for the 76ers, I don't take that over Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, but still. So the Jazz there dropping down a little bit. They need to definitely regroup at this All-Star break. They just got clowned at the draft show last night with nobody taking the Jazz player, so that should just be fueling their fire even more if it's not fueled already. But they are skidding a little bit here, losing games kind of at a consistent pace, which we haven't seen because they've only got kind of 9 losses up until this point. But yeah, they got to stop that skid, and until they do, they'll keep falling here. We'll keep bringing them down if they keep losing games, but let's see if they can kind of regroup in this All-Star break and get back on track. Alrighty, new number 3 team is going to be the 76ers. I think they move up. They got 1 spot move up here. Yeah, 4 coming into this week. So 76ers now at number 3 this last week. They went 2-1, beating the Pacers and the Jazz, losing against the Cavs. Once again, I mean, when this lineup is fully at 100%, it's one of the most deadly lineups there is. Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, the scorer down low, the scorer at the 3, and then Ben Simmons with the defense. Tobias Harris that can do both, defense and shoot the 3. That's what they need. And then Seth Curry, who's decent at the 3, and then Danny Green, who's a good defender but needs to hit the 3 a little bit more consistently. But when they're all on, it just works. They got the outside shooting, they got the down low, they got the defense, everybody. I mean, Danny Green can play great defense, Tobias Harris can play great defense, Joel Embiid can play great defense, and Ben Simmons, that's all he does. That's all his game is defense. So they really are a complete starting lineup here. Little light on the bench on some nights, not every night. Shake Milton, we usually get good production from. Dwight Howard, has proven in stints that he can step it up as well. So 76ers, they're the number 1 seed in the East going into the All-Star break. Truly respect on that. Getting it done. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are proving that they can play together. Love it, absolutely. They're competing against the best teams, beating the best teams, and because of that, like we said, number 1 in the East. So number 3 team for the 76ers here. Love what they can do. They can be the number 1 seed in our power rankings, folks. They are that close. So love everything about this 76ers team, truly. Alrighty, number 2 team is going to be the Suns. Absolutely fantastic. They just climbed their way up into the 2 seed in the West, so got to give them a ton of credit there. In the last week, they went 4-0, baby. They beat the Bulls, the Timberwolves, the Lakers, the Warriors, ending this kind of the first half of the season on a true high note. Are they 9-1 in their last 10? 8-2. 8-2 in their last 10. So just absolutely fantastic. Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, honestly, they're getting it done. That's a great trio that they've got there. They're all hitting. Chris Paul, he can be the scorer when they need to. He can be the facilitator when they need to. He truly has a great game. Like we said, these last 2 seasons for Chris Paul have been the best seasons I think he's ever had. Elevating the play around him, getting all these other role players to advance their game so they can be better than what they actually are. I mean, the Thunder were the 4th seed in the playoffs last season. Now the Suns are the 2 seed in the West. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy what Chris Paul is doing. Devin Booker has not lost a step from last season in the bubble. Consistent with 8-0 in the bubble. Still getting it done here. Chris Paul still getting it done. And then the great big of DeAndre Ayton still getting it done as well. So absolutely perfect by the Suns team. Love it, love it, love it. Alrighty, and then the number 1 team is still going to be the Nets because James Harden is playing at MVP level caliber. You get Bruce Brown, you get Joe Harris that are still consistently finding ways to put up so many points when still James Harden's going for 25 plus, when Kyrie Irving's going for 25 plus, and Joe Harris is still efficient from the 3, 15 plus points, no problem there. Bruce Brown can go for 20 if he wants, 15 plus there. DeAndre Jordan is making a great 5 still, and they still are decently deep. Can you imagine when Kevin Durant comes back and Bruce Brown goes down to the bench, or Joe Harris goes down to the bench, and that firepower of the bench is going to be still absolutely fantastic. So Nets, I still have them at the number 1 seed. In the last week, they beat the Spurs and the Rockets. They did lose against the Mavs, but they only had James Harden for that game. And this team is still good, but it's still gonna take a lot to kind of overpower a decent rising team like the Mavs if it's just James Harden, even though we love James Harden so much. But James Harden has this team rocking. His unselfishness, his play alone is carrying this Nets team single-handedly. If it was just Kyrie Irving in this situation, or if the roles were reversed, if Kyrie Irving was trying to be the point guard, it would not be this good for the Nets, I can guarantee it. So James Harden single-handedly carrying this Nets team by himself, and he's got his team at the number 1 because of his play alone. So Nets at 1. Alrighty, so this is the power rankings going into the All-Star break. The first half of the season, Mavs at 10, Celtics at 9, Blazers at 8, Heat at 7, Bucks at 6, Nuggets at 5, Jazz at 4, 76ers at 3, Suns at 2, and Nets at 1. Outside looking in, I'd probably put, obviously the Knicks and the Wizards. The Lakers are there. They need Anthony Davis back, though, until we start putting them into the top 10. But very well done to all teams here. Very well done.